Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a white and brown sauce from the Roux method. The Roux method is a basic mixture of fat and flour which is cooked together, and then the liquid is added slowly to the fat and flour mixture to prevent the formation of lumps, and we have the different types of sauce. The Roux method is divided into three. The thin sauce, which is made with 15 grams of fat and 15 milliliters of flour. The medium sauce, made with 25 grams of fat and 25 milliliters of flour. And the thick sauce, called a Panada, which is made with 50 grams of fat and 50 milliliters of flour. These sauces have different uses. Your thin sauce is used with steamed fish. Your medium sauce is used either to make a gravy, or it is used in an gratin dish. And your thick sauce, or Panada, is used as the basis for souffles and fritters. It is a binding mixture. So I'm going to start with the thinnest of the Roux methods. We're going to make white sauces from all three of the methods, and I will first put my margarine into my saucepan and let it melt. Don't have the stove too high. To that, I'm going to add my salt, a small amount of pepper, and the flour. You will notice that I have removed the margarine from the heat so that we can incorporate the flour more easily. I'm going to return it to the heat and cook the roux, which is the mixture of margarine and flour. This usually takes about a minute. I'm going to remove it from the heat once again and slowly add the milk. Stirring all the time to prevent the formation of lumps. If you leave the roux on the heat source, it cooks too quickly and you're guaranteed to have lumps in your sauce. Now that looks smooth. So I'm going to add more milk. Keep stirring it all the time. This is most important when making a white sauce by this method. I will add the final amount of milk, and then I'm going to return it to the heat. And stir it until it boils. This particular recipe will make a very thin sauce, as we've used the minimum amount of flour, And this sauce can be flavored with parsley or with fish paste, cheese, any one of those flavors. And then the sauce is served in a sauce jug or gravy boat and can be used on steamed fish, steamed chicken, any protein dish that needs to have moisture in the form of a sauce added to it. The sauce is starting to boil now. We must let it boil for a minute so that the flour is cooked and you don't have a raw flour flavor. Remove the sauce from the heat, remove the white sauce from the heat sauce from the plate, and you can add chopped parsley to it. Stir it in well. Use a scraper, remove the wooden spoon, and pour your sauce into the gravy boat. There, your parsley sauce is ready to be served. I'm now going to make a medium white sauce with medium thickness. I have my saucepan and I'm going to add 25 grams of margarine to the saucepan. In a medium thick sauce, we use 25 grams of margarine and 25 milliliters of flour. I'm melting the margarine. Do not use very high heat, as you don't want the margarine to discolor and go brown. Once the margarine is melted, remove it from the heat source, add your salt, a pinch of black pepper, and your flour, 25 milliliters of flour. Stir it in very well. So that no lumps are formed. Replace it on the heat and cook the roux flour margarine mixture so that the flour will thicken more easily. Mixing the margarine with the flour prevents the flour from forming lumps. I'm going to remove it from the heat source and I'm going to slowly add my milk, little by little. The slower you do this process, the less likely you are to have a lumpy white sauce. If you find that you're inclined to make a lumpy white sauce, instead of using a wooden spoon, use a whisk. And this will break the lumps down more easily. I'm going to add more milk. And then the final amount of milk. I'm going to return it to the heat and stir it continuously until it boils. While the milk is becoming hotter and hotter, the starch grains are absorbing the milk and swelling, and in that way thickening the white sauce. White sauces are traditionally made with wheat flour, but could be made with corn flour or with rye flour or potato starch, depending what starch is available. White sauces do take time to come to the boil. It's not a process that can be hurried. The white sauce has started boiling now. Allow it to boil for 1 minute without scorching the bottom. As you will notice, once the starch is cooked and thick, the sauce becomes shiny, loses its dull appearance. I'm going to remove it from the heat, and I'm going to add the cheese. This is cheddar cheese, which is cooking cheese, which has a strong enough flavor to be added to other foods. Stir it until the cheese melts. Do not return the white sauce to the heat, as excess heat makes the cheese coagulate, and you find that you will have a greasy or fatty white sauce. Medium white sauces are usually used for au gratin dishes, and today I'm going to demonstrate a cauliflower and broccoli au gratin. Here I have steamed a mixture of steamed cauliflower and broccoli. It must not be overcooked, it must still be slightly crisp, because it's going to be further cooked in the oven. I will pour the sauce over. Always use a plastic scraper when you're cooking, so as not to waste any of the ingredients. Now I'm going to put extra cheese on the top. And some breadcrumbs on the top of that. This just gives the au gratin a crispy crust, and that I'm going to put into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, as it is for 15 to 20 minutes until the cheese on top goes golden brown. I'm going to place the au gratin in the oven on the middle shelf at 180 degrees Celsius. The third white sauce made by the Roux method is a panada. This is a very thick white sauce that is used as the basis of soufflés. Here I have 50 grams of margarine, which I'm going to melt. Once again, don't overheat your margarine, as you don't want your sauce to go brown. To it, add your salt. And a small amount of black pepper. And the flour. This is 50 milliliters of flour. Stir it in. See that there are no lumps of flour. We place it on the heat and cook it for the 1 minute to cook the starch. Remove it from the heat. And add your milk little by little. See that you collect the roux from the corners of the pot. Add the remaining milk. Stir it in. And return it to the heat. And stir continuously until it boils. A panada is used as the basis of a soufflé. You can use cheese soufflé, fish soufflé, chicken soufflé. And they are also, panadas are also used as a basis for fritters. You make your panada and then you add your sweet corn or your whole corn kernels or your mixed vegetables or perhaps some fruit, and you then, it binds the ingredients together. And you can then roll it in flour and breadcrumbs and deep fat fry your fritters. So a panada is used as a binding medium for soufflés and fritters. It's thickening very quickly because of the larger amount of flour that has been added to it. Just remember that if you're going to use the panada as a basis to a fruit fritter, you must not add too much salt and no pepper at all. This is then the panada, which you would use as a base for your souffle or for your fritters. I'm going to demonstrate gravy made by the Roux method. This is really just starting from scratch, whereas if you were roasting meat, the fat would already be brown in the bottom of the roasting pan. You would pour the excess fat off from the roasting pan and then place the roasting pan on the top of the stove on the source of heat, and then carry on using this method. Here you'll notice that I am overcooking the margarine so that it will go brown. This brown gives a good color to the gravy and also gives a good flavor to the gravy. Be careful not to make it not too brown. The margarine there is brown enough. I'm taking it off the heat, and I'm going to add a small amount of pepper. I'm not adding any salt because our liquid is beef stock, which already has salt in it. To this, I'm going to add my flour. Heat it for a very short period of time. It should go a slightly darker brown as the flour is dextrinized. Remove it from the heat when it is brown and slowly add your liquid. Stir the liquid in slowly. Don't burn your hands in the steam as it comes off. Replace the gravy on the stove once all the liquid has been added, and stir until it boils. This is known as a brown sauce made by the Roux method and is served with meat. Here again, we have a smooth, shiny, flavorful brown gravy to be served with whichever roast meat you have chosen to have. I'm now going to make a cheese souffle using the panada as the base. I'm going to melt my margarine. Remove it from the heat before it goes brown. Add my salt. My mustard powder, which brings out the flavor of the cheese. And a small quantity of cayenne pepper, which will give the souffle a bite, the taste of the souffle a bite. Stir that in and add your flour. Replace it on the heat and cook the roux for a minute until the starch is cooked. Now that the starch is cooked, I'm going to remove it from the heat again. Add the milk little by little. Stir it until there are no lumps. And now that it has cooled down slightly, I'm going to add my egg yolks. And stir those in. I'm not going to put it back on the source of heat, as I need the eggs to coagulate in the oven to keep the souffle risen. Now I'm going to add my 70 grams of cheddar cheese. Stir it in. Now I'm going to beat my egg whites. You will see here that the egg whites are starting to become fluffy or foamy. They still have a slightly green tinge, and the bubbles are very visible and quite large, so the egg white needs to be beaten a lot more. Here the egg whites are at what is known as soft peak stage. If you put the beater in and lift it up, the peaks of the egg white fold over. The bubbles are much smaller and the egg white is becoming a lot whiter. The egg whites are now ready. They are white. The air bubbles are minute. And if you lift the egg beater out of the egg whites, the peaks remain upright. Put the egg whites into the cheese mixture. Remove the wooden spoon. Fold the egg white in with an up and over motion using a metal spoon which has a thinner edge and doesn't beat the air out of the egg white. Once it's well incorporated, remove the spoon and pour the souffle into a souffle dish. The souffle dish has vertical sides so that the souffle can rise straight up. Please note that the souffle dish has not been greased. This is to help the souffle rise up the sides of the dish without the fat causing it to slide down again. It gives you a much better risen souffle. Now I'm going to take the souffle and put it into the bain-marie, and I'm going to stand my souffle in the center, and the water must reach halfway up the sides of the dish. Using a bain-marie keeps the temperature even and keeps the temperature low at 100 degrees Celsius, so that you do not overheat the eggs that are going to make the souffle rise. The cheese souffle will fall immediately it starts cooling down. That is why it's one of the dishes that you should serve immediately from the oven onto the table to see it as it should be.